Hey guys, Lighting Conversations here back after taking a break for a while. Today we're just going to be talking about labels, the danger of labels, and defining yourself. I just want to start with I was having a conversation with someone, and they were telling me about how they were an introverted person, and I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about things that we define ourselves in general, like introverted, extroverted, optimist, pessimist, like glass half full, glass half empty type of person, whatever. And I was thinking about the sort of danger that comes with the inaccuracy that we use with these definite defining terms. Um, so yeah, just back to our conversation. They were talking about how they were an introvert, and I was like, and how them being an introvert sort of caused them. They didn't say it caused them to struggle directly, but it's the way that they were talking made it seem like being an introvert was like this definite thing about them that they could not change. This thing that was an axiom essentially about their life that they will always be someone who will have trouble talking to people. That was their idea of what an introvert person was, someone that has trouble talking to people, low social battery. And I guess in the general realm of a definition of introvert, the general definition, whatever, it's not that far off from truth. I'm sure we all picture that in our heads when we think of introvert, and yeah, so it's not crazy for them to perceive that. But I'm close with this person. I know them well, and I see them, I guess, as introverted sometimes, but also I see that there are certain types of people that they can be very extroverted with, and that they meld with very well and interact with uh, very easily, and they enjoy hanging out with even. But this sort of label that they've put on themselves as an introvert, whenever they're placed in a new environment, um, they're just generally less capable of talking to people than I see them as capable of. And I was explaining to this. I was like, there are some people that you met first time, you've hit it off really well. Like, it's very easy for you to talk to them. Why is it that you see yourself as an introvert? And they started to go back throughout experiences in their life, um, and just general sentiments that they've held in being in a room full of people that have caused them to be, I guess, more nervous and less open. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being an introvert or being an extrovert. Uh, what I'm saying, the issue I have is with the term introvert and extrovert and these other terms that we use to put labels on ourselves. See, what I saw in this person is not exactly what an introvert is. I saw someone who, due to their life experiences, has had trouble uh, coming out of themselves in in new places, new places where it's uncertain whether or not their person will be welcome and accepted and being able to fit in. And this, um, I'll call it an ailment of calling themselves an introvert, hasn't allowed them to potentially uh, look inwards and understand these um, underlying feelings that they have for what they actually are. They've just labeled it and put it all as uh, introverted, introvertedness. And the trouble with this is that, for one, it just completely overlooks these issues. I'm saying issues, but I guess these feelings, these emotions associated with these experiences in their life, it completely overlooks these and just chalks them up to uh, one umbrella term. And I guess the second issue, just leading into that, the umbrella term is not exactly accurate to their situation. Every any sort of discomfort that they've experienced in any sort of hesitancy that they've experienced in trying to meet new people, while there may be something underlying behind it, they've chalked it up to this umbrella term of introvertedness and completely overlooked the issue. And it does not allow said person to actually understand themselves and their experiences for what they are, but rather labeled as something that they perceive, whether it be the media's depiction of introvertedness, and by the media I mean general media like movies, TV shows, whatever. What their friends may label as introvertedness. Oh my gosh, you're so introverted. How are you not able to da 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 da? Whatever image they've created in their mind of what it means to be introverted from what they have seen. And this is really damaging because they're defining themselves by this. Now they're defining themselves by this outward image that they've created from. They're defining themselves from things that they've taken in, ideas that they've taken in from other people and other sources of media, whatever, instead of actually looking inwards and identifying what they what they're going through in their own personal experience. And this is true for a lot of labels that we place on ourselves. And identifying ourselves is important. I would 100% agree. Identifying, determining our being is important. Introspection is great. Great ways to help with growth and everything. But the labels and terms that we use to define ourselves can oftentimes be misleading because they're depictions of the world's image that we've created in our head of whatever it is that we're labeling. It's not of us. So I'm hesitant to use labels. I'm hesitant to put labels on people because oftentimes my idea, like even our ideas of labels are different. But anyways, the thing that I'm going through that may cause me to come off as what one would label as introvertedness or extrovertedness, and the things that someone else is going through that would cause them to be labeled as introverted or extroverted or whatever the label might be, are going to be vastly different, and we're each going to have different experiences causing us to come off under this as these umbrella terms, these labels are. So I'd say when you think and when you define yourself using these labels, and when you chalk your feelings of discomfort or joy, whatever it may be, when you associate your feelings and experiences to these labels that you've characterized as your being, I'd encourage you to really look and review these labels for their accuracy. Are these labels that I've used to define myself accurate? Are they true? Are they labels that I want for myself? Are these labels that reflect my life experiences? And with labels, labels could even be what one perceives as failure. If I say I was working a job, right, and uh, whatever the job was, I could have made 500,000, but I only came out with $100,000. Is that a failure? Well, it depends on the person. It really just depends on the person. Relative to that situation, someone who performs my jobs at a high accuracy can say, yeah, you failed. You were supposed to do this and you couldn't do it, so you failed. Someone who does not have a lot of money or can't perform my job like I can perform my job can say, hey, at least you made $100,000. Like, you can see the optimism in that. So just like how failure is subjective in that sense, relative to that job, the label of failure, the labels that we put on ourselves are subjective to every person. And in that subjectivity, just going back to the example, if I were to take the person who does not work my job versus the person who does perform my job better than I do, those are the only two options I have in front of me to determine whether or not I succeeded or I failed, right? Um, what about me? What How do I feel about the job that I just performed? That's going to be something in between those two, and it may not even come out as failure. It may be a whole entire different thing that we don't even have a word for yet. So just like that job situation, the labels that you take from external sources may be misguiding and misleading. Oftentimes, it's good to look inwards and look at the root to define and create the label that is whoever you are. And just these last examples, like someone could call you an overachiever, but you could have this thing where you don't accept anything but perfection, but you're just chalking it up to being an overachiever. Like someone could say, "Oh, you're so silly," but someone could call you silly, but in reality, you could have a fear, or rather, an inability to take yourself seriously, stemming from a fear that if you put your real self on display, you will not be accepted. Like, there are so many everyday labels that we use uh, to define ourselves that are just not 100% accurate to the situation that we are in as individual human beings separate from one another in our socio emotional existence. So, next time you use labels, think about the why. Yeah, that's all I have. See you guys later.